Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another interview today. And I have the amazing honor to interview Juliette. And she will share a lot of her experience and what she actually does with all of us. And I would like to welcome you, Juliette, to our podcast and interview today. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. So, a little about myself. I
Mhm.
am a real estate agent. I work for the Corcoran Group and I work throughout Brooklyn and Manhattan. I've been in the industry about 10 years. Um, right now, I'm working with one other person, and the two of us kind of split up the tasks and we work with buyers, we work with sellers, we work with renters, and it's all residential properties. So
Mhm.
we have worked on everything from a $350,000 studio up to a $10 million townhouse, 3 family house in Brooklyn. So nothing is too small. We love helping people, and I just find it to be such an interesting career. No day is the same. And I think that's kind of what draws a lot of people to entrepreneurship is that um, it's just so interesting and challenging.
The variety, right? The variety that you get every day is different. You're always learning something new. You're always speaking to new people. So that
Yeah,
must be, yeah, that must be interesting. And also challenging in a few ways, right? Because we have to overcome a lot of maybe build our resilience with as far as connecting to other people and understanding that part. But I guess you grow into that, right? You build resilience and it's.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Resilience, I think, is a muscle that you can build. It gets stronger over time, and you just have to keep at it. You have to keep believing in yourself that you'll bounce back and that things will work out, and they usually do. Um, I do love meeting people, like you said. You definitely meet a lot of different personalities, which spices things up. Um, so,
Mhm.
yeah, that is definitely something that I find to be joyful and exciting is helping people and working with um, people at all different stages of life and kind of guiding them through one of the most important decisions that they'll make in their lifetime.
That's really really cool. I want to ask you, Juliette, how did you get started? How did you choose this career path in real estate? How did that happen?
I never thought or imagined that I would get into this career path. Um, since I was little, I always wanted to be an actress and a singer. So, all
Hmm.
through high school, I was in community theater. I was in all the shows at my high school. Um, I went to college for it. I went to Tisch at NYU. So, I majored in musical theater there. And while we were there, they kept saying to us, make sure you have a side gig, make sure you have a second income coming in and something else that you can fall back on. And all of us as 20-year-olds were saying, yeah, okay, we're all going to make it. We're all going to be on Broadway in a couple of years. Um, so as I entered the world after college, I was fortunate enough that I was cast in a show right out of college for a national tour. So I did that for several months throughout the country. It was great, also very interesting, fulfilling, um,
Mhm.
definitely a high point. And when I came back from that, I was hitting the pavement, auditions early in the morning, going to casting calls, submitting myself for different projects, um, taking classes, meeting casting directors. And I realized, okay, I do need to have something else that's interesting and that can bring in another set of income, but it had to be flexible. So, someone in my family had recommended to me, have you ever thought about real estate? It's definitely flexible. You've lived in New York your whole life, you know a lot about the city and the boroughs. So, I said, okay. I looked around, I saw there were some job openings, and I went into it thinking this was just going to be part-time, and it worked because it was flexible. Again, I would be helping people. Nothing would be the same every day. Uh, Kind of like
So you
acting.
like variety even back then. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
And
Nice.
even though it's so different, performing was very fulfilling in that you were giving yourself to other people and you were giving comfort, you were joy to other people. So I think real estate in a different way still filled that need and that piece of myself that I enjoyed. So that was 10 years ago. Um, I ended up really liking it. And I realized that it wasn't really a part-time gig if you really wanted to grow with it and to help as many people as I really wanted to help. And I became extremely passionate about putting my energy into this career that could really help so many people. And I still perform. Now it's for fun. So I've always tried to keep a thread of that throughout my life because it is so fulfilling and it's
Mhm.
something that gives me comfort and that I've known since I was younger. So I still am in a singing group out here in Bay Ridge. I've done some community theater. I've done some other fun little random gigs. And it's great because I don't have the pressure that I had felt when I was pursuing the acting career, where it just was becoming not so fulfilling anymore and was really soul crushing. So
Mhm.
instead, I came into another field that's
Mhm.
also extremely difficult and has a lot of rejection in it, but somehow I've grown a lot and I've been able to really enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah, and you mentioned a few things that stood out to me in the answer. Why do you think your experience in theater became not so fulfilling? Because I think those are some of the lessons that maybe you could share with the audience. In your experience, why do you think that you wanted to transition into something else? What were some of those things that you just didn't find fulfilling anymore?
I think the biggest thing was probably rejection.
Mm,
And being an entrepreneur, something you deal with all the time is rejection
mm-hmm.
and being in the spotlight and being open to other people's perspectives of you. And
Mm-hmm. The exposure. Hmm.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I tried it out. I went at it with a lot of passion and energy. And I think the rejection really was very hard for me. And after a while, it really wore me down. Tied with things I was hearing, I was told I was too petite because I'm under 5 feet. So it was hard for people to find roles for me. So they were saying, um, I also have an accent from New York. So a lot of people were telling me to get rid of it. And I was trying to work on it, but my head just wasn't in the place to do that. And it wasn't exactly what I expected. When I went on tour, I really saw how grueling the profession was, where you're traveling on not a lot of sleep for not a lot of pay, and you're going from city to city. And even if you're doing not national tours, but regional gigs, um, you're kind of always on the road and on the go. And at that point in my life, I decided, this isn't fitting where I see myself. It doesn't feel right. It was also kind of intuition that it just wasn't working out for me at that phase of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think something that I have been working on since that career and that has kind of followed me into this one. And I know we've always talked about what kind of things hold you back and what have you struggled through and grown through.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say probably the biggest one for me has been self-doubt and learning to deal with rejection. And it's something I'm still working on to this day. Thankfully, I've come a long way. And now I'm just working towards that in a different way in this profession.
Mhm.
And I think I have a lot more skills to help me do that.
Awesome. So yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I wanted to tap into maybe for the audience. So what are some of the tools that maybe you have gained along the way to help you with that? Because that's, I feel like that's everyone, right? The self-doubt and the rejection, that's a common fear for a lot of people. And in order to be successful in a lot of, especially in the entrepreneur world,
Mhm.
we have to learn ways to overcome that. Otherwise, it's going to hold us back from the success that we actually deserve. And a lot of us are working very hard, so it's the mindset part of it. So based on what you've learned so far, and you mentioned, you know, the transition between theater into real estate, and you've been doing real estate for over a decade now, which is really a long time. So, you know, what kind of tools do you use to help yourself with those, with the self-doubt and the confidence part and the rejection part, that maybe you can share with the audience? I think that will be really helpful for them to hear.
Sure. So I think the uh, biggest factor that helped me through this was therapy. And I learned a lot of tools there. Um, the biggest one that I got help from was looking at the facts.
Mm,
So my therapist would challenge me and say, okay, I know you're having this emotion, and someone may have said something to you that you interpreted and you're feeling a certain way about it, but is it really true? I want you to look at the facts. And so we came up with this even though statement that I like to call it, and I use. Um, so even though I might be having this feeling, even though I might be feeling rejected, I might feel as though um, I may have come off as not knowing 100% about the property. When someone asked me a question, maybe I knew 95%.
mm-hmm.
The fact is that it doesn't make me any less competent or um, passionate or intelligent or less of a person. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't decrease my worth because I didn't have that answer at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And using statements like that that are based in facts, that are not totally driven by emotion or by my interpretation of what someone else perceives of me in that moment, I really have been able to grow through taking away some of that self doubt and building my confidence. And I've also done that with some affirmations, just coming up with positive statements, again, built in facts and things that I do know and appreciate about myself, and that are things I have done, even looking at my past and using positive things that I've done in my whole life, maybe not even in this career, but just to keep that momentum going and to help strengthen that resilience that we talked about and that confidence.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing what you just said. I feel like I had a similar experience, but since I got into life coaching and I learned to actually challenge my thoughts and really like figure out where's these stories coming from and why am I thinking the way I'm thinking, because the thoughts are causing the feelings. So
Right.
similar to what you just said with your therapist, she challenged your thoughts. She's like, is it really true? Let's look at the facts. I mean, is it really that you don't really have all the knowledge, and maybe getting over the perfectionism that we always have to know the answers, because we're also human, right? And we don't always have to know the answers, but I think people connect with the fact that if you say I don't know, then that would be okay as well. I think we have to, as women especially, we have to all, I'm working on it as well, we have to get over, especially when I transition from corporate to my own business.
Mhm.
I realized, because I was such an authority position there, so I had to come out in my own business, and a lot of times I had these things in my mind, I always have to know the answers because I was always involved in those areas. But then I had to learn that it's okay, I don't know the answer, but what I tell myself is I don't know it yet, but I can always figure it out.
It's so
That's
true.
something that I've also encountered. So I think between me and you, I think these are really good tips for the audience, because like I said, confidence and fear of rejection are going to show up in a lot of professions,
Yes.
and not just real estate, not just coaching, not just whatever we do. It's just more of those internal things that we have to get over as far as our mindset, and just say, maybe I don't know it yet, but I can always figure it out. I mean, it calms you down. It also removes the urgency and the pressure from you. I think sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to
Do.
always know.
We definitely do.
Yes. So we do have to we have to work on that. I love that. That's awesome. Juliette, so I wanted to pick your brain now on your area of expertise, right? So you've been doing real estate for over 10 years. So let's say someone wants to choose this career path, right? What are some of the tips that you can give? What are some of the abilities or the skills that they need in order to be successful? Because I know that this is also very independent career, right? And you have to be very driven, and you have to sort of get your own clients, and you have to work on all those things that maybe in a traditional career role where you have your job handed out to you is
Mhm.
so much different. So what would be maybe a few tips that would give someone that wants to maybe transition into real estate just like yourself?
So it is doable. It just takes time. So I would say one thing is you have to have patience and you have to have some compassion for yourself, because it is challenging, it is tiring, it is a field that's full of rejection, and you have to give yourself some compassion and say, you know what, I'm trying something totally new, and I am going to give this 100% of my energy, and I'm going to see where it goes. So that's one thing that I think a lot of people might not say, is you have to give yourself a little bit of credit and some patience. Um, Another thing I would say, and this is really for any entrepreneur, um, is that you have to look for a mentor and someone that you would like to emulate, who is an expert in the field you're looking to go into. So if it's real estate, I would pick up books from people who are experts in the field. I would go to networking events for real estate agents so you could get to know other agents and find what firm might fit you best. Um, by having a mentor, you'll have someone who's already been there and who can guide you to show you the ropes. And one of my favorite quotes from a book that I love called The Success Principles is that success leaves clues. And if you go to an expert, they already have gone through the worst of the worst. They've probably seen it all. And if you have that much more information on your side, it's bound to help you in your path. So I would say go to panels, ask if you can shadow people who are in that field. And honestly, most people love talking about themselves and they love being able to know they're giving back in some way.
Share
So
their
I think
knowledge. Mm-hmm.
many
Yeah.
people would love to be given that opportunity to give back to you and help you in your next steps.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm still doing it now. I watch expert panels on top agents in my company all the time. It's something that my company offers, and I make sure to attend it and take notes. And I'm always learning something new, and it's really helpful. So that is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say create the opportunity for yourself. If you see the opportunity is not there, create it. And this I can really speak from experience because I started a networking group, and that's actually how the two of us met.
Yes.
For people who are watching, um, I felt that I wanted to expand my network, but in a way that was more natural, in a way that would not just benefit me, but would benefit everybody who was coming and connecting, and to form new lasting relationships. And I did that by going on Facebook, going on Instagram. I put my name out there. I let my friends know that I was starting this, and by word of mouth and by posting in a random Facebook group or two, um, all of these things coupled together worked, and then the opportunity arose from it to create this group, which I think has been pretty awesome. It's called Bay Ridge Women Connect, and we have a group of about 12 women, and I think we've all gained some confidence from it, some good connections and friendships, and I think everyone has gotten something out of it, even if it was just reassurance or a push to take the next step.
Mhm.
So if you are new to a field, if you are in a field but you feel you're struggling and you need um, more people to know what you're doing, just put yourself out there, take the next step, and create the opportunity for yourself.
Mhm.
I know it's scary. Self promotion is scary, and it's something that I've definitely had a hard time with as well in both careers, since we were talking about that.
Mhm.
And I think it's something that we have to acknowledge is accepted nowadays, that everyone self promotes and it's really okay.
Mhm.
So just take the step, and what's on the other side will probably surprise and excite you.
Yeah, you don't know. And I want to thank you. I'm part of your group. Obviously, you mentioned that that's how we met each other. And I want to say, I want to thank you for creating that platform of that supportive environment, because that's the same thing that I felt when I came in, connecting with other like-minded women and
Mhm.
sort of help each other out and utilize each other just to throw ideas back and forth, and to just like utilize it as a focus group is so valuable, because a lot of the aha moments that I got in my business, I think happened, were born in the group that you created. So I
Okay.
thank you. I want to thank you for doing that, and I am so excited to see what this will grow into. We've had a little stop with COVID-19, but I'm sure we'll pick it up back up, and we'll do great things together. I think when great women come together and we all put our minds together, just magic happens, and a lot of the things you don't expect, they kind of just naturally grow from conversation, and we take action in all our different ways, and we can do so many more bigger things together. I feel like it's also helps with supporting each other, because I think a lot of the times I do see maybe jealousy between women. Sometimes I think we need to overcome that and really see that we are more powerful together. We all have our own experience, we all have our own journey, we all have our own path. So by coming together and by supporting each other, I think we can serve even more people in our own channels, in our own careers, in our own things that we do. So
Definitely.
we have to see more of that moving forward. And I know even with my business right now, I'm trying to create and do a lot of those, create those platforms where
Mhm.
people come together and they do just that. They support, it's safe, there's no judgment, everyone can connect, everyone can speak about it, because we all going through the same thing, everyone in their own way. So that connection that comes out of that, and that you can be vulnerable and it's okay, and you don't have to know, but there's someone else that knows it and they're actually jumping in to give you an answer, that is
Yep.
powerful, because something will hit you in those events. Something will hit you. I got so many aha moments, just like sometimes just listening to the other members of the group, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't think of that, because we have to come out of our own self. We don't see our own limitations, and the only way to do that is just surround yourself with other like-minded people. It's amazing what can come out of that. um,
Absolutely. I like that you called it a focus group, and um, like mindedness definitely helps, and positivity. And I think if anyone who's listening can surround themselves with people who are like minded and who are positive and who are driven and hungry, that is what's going to get you far as well as your own desire is the people that you're surrounded by, who can push you and challenge you and give you feedback, which is also very important. Um,
mhm.
so yeah, those are
And
my
so we can all find our own way and find our own light. We all have it.
Yes,
These are the environments to do that. That's awesome. Juliette, I wanted to ask you if you have a few tips, maybe with the market right now with COVID-19. Just if you could share a few tips that you're helping your clients through navigate, the market right now as far as real estate is concerned. If you could share a few tips with us, I think that would the audience will benefit from that too.
sure. So I'd say the market is in a very interesting place right now. We've had several months of extremely minimal activity because of COVID 19, people not being allowed to leave their homes. We legally were not allowed to work or show properties. So the beginning of the year was really stalled and everything just was at a standstill. So now that we're in phase three, things are reopening. It's been exciting to see that activity pick back up, which we were starting to see around the beginning of phase two, and people just wanting to get out of their house. So, um, right now, I would say prices are going to come down. That's my opinion. That's what I'm seeing. I understand that in different pockets and different markets, there have been bidding wars and there are prices going over. I think that's really more in the suburbs. What I'm really seeing here is that you have to price very smart and you have to be realizing that the market and the prices aren't exactly where they were, let's say 2 years ago or even last year. So, for those who are buying and selling, I'm telling the sellers that while you may take a little bit of a loss on your home now, you are going to gain that benefit as a buyer. So, you're going to have the incredible rates that are out there right now. You are going to get a home that's probably priced more reasonably than it would have been, let's say, last spring. And those are huge factors and motivating points for wanting to buy and sell. There's definitely a lot of uncertainty. I know a lot of people are nervous about the stock market and the election, both of which always are factors in real estate and people's confidence in buying something. Um, so I think it's a very personal decision of what is really going to work best for you and your family. So if right now is the best time for you to move, and again, you may take a slight loss on your home, do what is best for you because everything is so unpredictable that we really don't know what's going to happen. And if you can have the security of a home and you're able to afford it and you are dying for that extra space, it would make your life better. It would make your relationships within your family better. Or it might even be one person looking to move to a bigger space to have home office because they are able to afford it. And prices, as I see them, are coming down and becoming more affordable than they have been. I would say to take advantage of it. And the same thing for people who are renting. Now would be a great time to buy if you're able to do so comfortably. The biggest thing I always tell my clients is that you live in the monthly payment, not in the sales price. So if you're looking to buy a property, break down the numbers of what would you be paying per month if you owned a property versus if you were leasing a property. And that is where you should base your decision off of because what you're taking home every month and what you're able to afford comfortably is so important for your mental health and for your just overall peace of mind and being. So look at those numbers. What is your maintenance, your taxes, your mortgage, um, your utilities, maybe any loans that you have outstanding, and put all those together. And that's a great way to find what you really can afford comfortably. Um, and I would also say, of course, working with a real estate agent is really in your favor because even though there are websites out there that you can jump on and they'll tell you what's going on, nothing is the same as a personalized
Yeah.
approach and experience. And I think that's true for so many fields, and especially our field. A lot of people don't realize it's a very emotional process to buy a home or even to rent a home and to move. It's extremely tolling. And if you can have someone there to guide you and to tell you what to expect, what's coming next, to tell you, something doesn't seem right to me, and whose eyes are always on the market, and is someone who is your advocate, I think that is really the best thing you can do for yourself in the process, is just have an advocate who's a real estate agent and someone who will help you throughout the whole transaction.
Oh, wow. I love that last part. There's a lot of points that you made about even like running your numbers and understanding, because a lot of people might not know they actually can afford to buy a home, but maybe they don't understand how to, maybe they have the fear over, how do I know if I can afford it? And I think the knowledge and the wisdom you shared on the market right now is really, really valuable, right? It just opens up, I think, the audience's eyes of what's possible in that area as well, and how is it that they can navigate that and make those personal choices. I always say education is always the best tool you can have. The more education you have, the more opportunities you see for yourself, the more things you can do for yourself and your family. And I think you shared a lot of amazing nuggets in there. And the part about working with a specialized real estate agent, it absolutely makes a difference. You can find a lot of information on the internet nowadays. Information is not the problem. The thing is, what people need still is that assurance that someone understands and they're the expert. They've been doing this with other people, and they have a connection with you, and you have a personal advisor, someone that when you freak out, as you said, is a very emotional process. And I agree, because when I bought my home, I'm still living there 13 years, and now I have so many memories. And now I'm like, do I want to sell it? Do I not? Because my kids grew up there. Their first steps happen there, and all these memories that we have. So I totally agree. I think it's your nest is very important. That's where you have the most memories. So you want to really understand, what is the best options for you to move forward, and just getting the guidance of someone like yourself is really amazing, and just walking you through much easily through that process into your other choices that you want to make into different phases, because you also have phases in life. There's a phase of you raise your kids, there's a phase your kids get older, and that's what I'm also looking into my personal life as well. I'm like, when my kids get older, will I still live where I am? It's all these different things that you navigate, but just having someone that's been there and you can trust and actually has your best interest in mind, it's invaluable. And that's the reason why I think, even though the internet and the digital era has done a lot of great things as far as information, I think we all humans, and we all need that personal touch.
Yes.
Someone that just understands, that can hear us out and really can give us the best advice and just guide us through whatever process we're going through. And in your case, walking them through the buying a home or renting a home or finding that next place where they'll make more memories. I mean, home is where heart is. So I know how important it is to have that safe environment. And it's, for a lot of people, it's the biggest investment. I mean, I think that's the biggest investment I've made so far, my home.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Me too.
so, all righty. Awesome. Thank you so much, Juliette. I really enjoyed our interview. I think you really shared a lot of great information about, even if someone's looking to go into this career path, or even just what's going on with the market and what other opportunities with that. I think I learned a lot from the interview as well. So I would like to thank you for your time, and your wisdom. And I want to ask you, if anyone wants to reach out to you and needs that personalized guidance that we talked about, where is it that they can find you?
Sure. So I'm also happy to answer questions from people who might want to reach out, as you mentioned, and might be looking to go in this career path. So this is for anyone who might want some more guidance, or for someone to shadow. I'm happy to share that as well. So the best way to reach me is if you go on the Corcoran website, CORCORAN, You can see my email address. My phone number is located right there. You can see properties I've worked on, what I have available, and you could send me an email directly from there. You can also find me on Facebook. My name is Juliette Pannone, Pannone. We can direct message on Instagram. If you want to follow the account that we were talking about, it's Bay Ridge Women Connect. And I try to stay active on there. It's been a little difficult recently because things have picked up business wise, thankfully, but I'm hoping to get back on with that. And I'm always checking messages on there. And you can just find me on Instagram also if you type in my name, Juliette Pannone. So I hope to connect with some of you. I'm also in your Facebook group, so you can find me on there as well. And thank you for having me. I appreciate that you asked me to come and speak today. And I'm so thankful that we've gotten to know each other and have pushed each other and have listened to each other in our monthly group. And yeah, this was fun. And I'm so happy to see you thriving.
Thank you so much, Juliette. Thank you so much for your time. And I really value our friendship and our connection at this point. And I'm so excited to continue further and see where this will go. Thank you for your time. And I'll also include the links on the bottom of the interview for anyone that wants to easy access to click into them and to just get to know you and just find you everywhere. Because I believe really your passion shows through. And I think you have a lot of care in what you do. A lot of that shows through, especially through the interview and just getting to know you personally. So I think anyone that's looking for your area of expertise, they shouldn't look any further. Thank you so much. And I wish you a great rest of your week.
You too. Enjoy the day. And thanks again. Bye.